In the bustling streets of Manila, the sun beat down on cracked pavements while jeepneys honked and vendors shouted to sell their goods. Among the chaos stood a small boy, only 10 years old, with a voice that seemed too big for his fragile frame. Juan de la Cruz clutched a second-hand microphone connected to an old speaker his mother had borrowed from a neighbor. His bare feet pressed against the hot concrete, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he closed his eyes and began to sing. At first, people hurried past, carrying bags of fruit or chasing after buses, but slowly the air shifted. One by one, passers-by stopped to listen. The boy's voice soared above the noise of the city, smooth yet powerful, carrying raw emotion that silenced even the busiest commuters. Maria, his mother, watched from the side, her eyes full of both pride and worry. She knew her son had a gift, but life in Manila was harsh, and dreams were often crushed under the weight of poverty. A small group gathered, some dropping coins into a dented tin can at Juan's feet, others recording his performance on their phones. The boy sang not for money, but because it was the only way he knew to escape the hunger and struggles of their daily life. His voice told a story of hope, pain, and resilience that resonated with everyone listening. When he hit the high notes, a woman in the crowd clasped her hands to her chest, whispering, "He should be on a big stage." As the final note faded, silence lingered before the street erupted into applause. Maria wiped a tear from her cheek, whispering, "One day, hijo, the world will hear you." Juan smiled shyly, unaware that destiny was already calling his name. In Quezon City, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation inside a small, makeshift audition hall filled with hopeful singers, dancers, and performers of every kind. The walls were decorated with colorful banners announcing the Philippine Talent Search, a stepping stone for many dreaming of the international stage. 10-year-old Juan de la Cruz clutched his mother Maria's hand tightly as they waited for his turn, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Other contestants, older and more confident, practiced their routines, their polished voices echoing through the corridors. Juan felt out of place in his simple shirt and worn shoes, but Maria bent down, smoothing his hair and whispering, "You belong here, hijo. Sing with your heart, and they will feel you." When his name was called, Juan stepped onto the small stage, the bright lights almost blinding him. A panel of local judges looked up, some skeptical of the little boy's nervous stance. "What will you sing for us?" one asked. Juan swallowed, his voice trembling as he named his song. Then the music began, and with the first note, everything changed. His timid posture melted away, replaced by confidence carried on the wings of his voice. Each lyric rang clear, filling the hall with unexpected power. The judges leaned forward, expressions shifting from doubt to awe. The audience, made up of family members and fellow contestants, fell silent, captivated. By the time one reached the chorus, his delivery was no longer that of a street boy, it was of an artist born for greatness. As he finished, the room erupted in cheers and applause. One judge even stood, clapping with a broad smile, declaring, "This boy has something special." Maria rushed forward, hugging her son tightly, whispering through tears, "This is just the beginning, Juan. Your voice will take you far." The long flight from Manila to Los Angeles felt like a dream to Juan. Pressed against the airplane window, he gazed at the endless sky, his small hands gripping the armrest each time the plane shook. For a boy who had only known the crowded alleys of Manila, the vastness of America felt almost unreal. When the plane finally landed, Juan and his mother Maria stepped out into the bustling chaos of the Los Angeles airport. Towering glass walls, glowing signs, and people of every nationality surrounded them, each rushing to their own destination. Juan held Maria's hand tightly, his eyes darting in awe at the sheer size of everything. Outside, the streets glittered with neon lights and tall skyscrapers, cars zooming past in perfect lines. The city felt alive in a way so different from Manila's busy streets. Maria, though just as overwhelmed, put on a brave smile for her son. "Remember, hijo, this is where dreams can come true," she said softly, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. Later, as they arrived at the Grand Theater where America's Got Talent was being held, Juan's heart raced. He stood in front of the massive building, its bright banners flashing the faces of famous judges. He could see Simon Cowell's stern gaze on a poster and felt a chill of nervousness. Back home, people had told him that Simon was the toughest judge, the one hardest to impress. Maria knelt beside him, looking into his anxious eyes. "Don't be afraid of anyone," she whispered. "Sing like you always do, with your heart." Juan nodded, swallowing his fear. For a moment, he stared at the grand stage door as if it were a gate to another world. With each breath, his dream edged closer to becoming reality. The theater was packed, lights blazing, cameras rolling, and the massive America's Got Talent stage looked like a palace to little Juan. As he stepped onto the shiny floor, his tiny figure seemed almost swallowed by the grandeur of it all. The judges watched him curiously. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms folded, his sharp eyes narrowing with intrigue. Heidi Klum offered a gentle smile, Sofia Vergara gave an encouraging thumbs up, and Howie Mandel leaned forward, studying the boy. "What's your name?" Simon asked in his familiar, commanding tone. Juan's voice trembled as he replied, "My name is Juan de la Cruz, and I'm from Manila, Philippines." The crowd cheered instantly at the mention of his country. "And what will you be doing today?" Simon continued. Juan swallowed, gripping the microphone with both hands. "I will sing, because it's my dream." The music began, and from the very first note, the entire hall shifted. The timid street boy disappeared, replaced by a voice so pure and powerful it echoed through every corner of the theater. The audience grew silent, their eyes fixed on this small child commanding the stage with a voice that carried both pain and hope. Simon raised his eyebrows, his stern expression softening as Juan soared into the chorus. Heidi whispered, "Oh my God," while Sophia covered her mouth in shock. By the second verse, people in the audience were standing, clapping along, tears welling in their eyes. Juan hit the final note with breathtaking strength, and the room erupted in cheers. Then, in a moment that would change his life forever, Simon Cowell pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained from above, swirling around Juan as he stood frozen in disbelief. Tears streamed down his face as his mother rushed onto the stage, holding him tightly. He had done it, his dream had just begun. Backstage, the sound of the audience's roaring cheers still echoed through the walls, but Juan could hardly believe what had just happened. Golden confetti clung to his hair and shirt, sparkling under the backstage lights as he sat on a simple bench, his tiny hands trembling around the microphone he still refused to let go. Maria knelt in front of him, wiping the tears from his cheeks with the edge of her worn handkerchief. Her own eyes were red from crying, but her smile radiated pride. "You did it, hijo," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You showed the world your heart." Juan sniffled, glancing at the stage door where just moments ago Simon Cowell had stood, smiling at him with a rare look of approval. "Mama," he said softly, "he pressed the golden buzzer for me." "For me." His words carried both disbelief and wonder. Maria hugged him tightly, as if never wanting to let go. Crew members and staff passed by, some giving him high fives, others clapping his shoulder, saying, "That was incredible, kid." One even joked, "You're going to be a star." Juan, still overwhelmed, only managed a shy smile. He turned to his mother, whispering, "I want to make them proud. I want to make the Philippines proud." Maria cupped his face, nodding firmly. "You already have. The streets of Manila will never forget your voice. And now the whole world will hear it." A camera zoomed in on Juan as he looked down at his hands, then up with determination shining in his tear-streaked eyes. "This is just the beginning," he said softly, as though promising himself. In that moment, a boy who once sang barefoot on the streets became a beacon of hope, not just for his family, but for every dreamer watching.